anywhere. Stay connected. Stay ahead with KBC Mobile Digital App.
Seventeenth day of December 2024 it is. Good morning and happy holidays. Just a couple of days to Christmas, and hope you are having a fantastic festive season. My name is Njue. Lucy Moura is our sign language interpreter for this program. The program is News Check, where we ensure that we keep you afloat with all the latest happening and also tackling a number of issues in the country as well. Talking about the festive season, during this season is where many countries, Kenya included, we have a lot of cyber threats, a lot of cyber attacks, and we want to establish why. But for that, we also have the National Cyber Crimes Coordination Committee, which is responsible for ensuring that we are kept safe on our devices, be it laptop, phones, or even smart tablets. And that is a discussion that we'll be having on this first hour. We also have a second hour, which I'll be telling you all about it, and especially the festive season, looking at the vulnerable in the society. The medical challenge has been real in the country. So what about those people who are disadvantaged? They really have it hard. But we'll be talking about that a little bit later. But for now, it's matters cyber threats. And I'm privileged to have two doctors from the NC4. And actually, one of them was my teacher last week in matters journalism and also cyber threats. We had a really good conversation, and that is also what we are cascading it down right here. So allow me, without further ado, to introduce my panelists this morning, beginning from my immediate left, where we have Dr. James Kemoyo. Dr. James Kemoyo is the director for NC4, that is the National Computer Cybercrimes Coordination Committee. Always for this conversation, we will be talking about NC4. And just next to him from the NC4, we have Dr. David Njue, who is the head policy, strategy, and standards for NC4. Gentlemen, karibuni sana.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Beginning with you, Doc. We are in the festive season. We have a lot of attacks, and also, even though we talk about matter security, you also have to look at some of the attacks that we have in our digital devices. But before then, we're talking about NC4. What exactly is NC4, and what is your mandate?
Thank you for that good and wonderful question. We are here to speak to the Kenyans, especially in these festive seasons. Next week shall be Christmas, and we want to wish them well in advance. Merry Christmas from the National Computer and Cyber Crimes Coordination Committee, which I shall briefly explain what it is. We just abbreviate it as NC4. but I've already mentioned it in full. That is National Computer and Cyber Crimes Coordination Committee. Therefore, this NC4 is a creation of the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act of 2018. And it was felt then that we have a space that needs to be taken charge of to be able to deliver security to the people and the great people of Kenya. And therefore, the act was formulated. It went through Parliament. Basically, it defines what are the do's and what are the don'ts within the cyberspace in terms of when you are using our computers and the related gadgets. Therefore, to be able to deliver what we are calling a secure cyberspace for the people of Kenya, the committee brings together 9 entities that are charged with various mandates to be able to secure the cyberspace. I may not mention all of them, but key among them, of course, is the ministry that is in charge of internal security and Interior and National Administration. That is the Ministry of Interior. Then we have the ministry that is also in charge of matters of ICT. And then to support these 2 ministries to be able to deliver secure cyberspace, we have brought in now the key security actors within the country. That is the Kenya Defence Forces, the National Police Service, the National Intelligence Service, and the key regulators such as the Central Bank of Kenya, the Communications Authority of Kenya, and to be able also to assist us with matters of law. We've brought in the State Law Office, that's the Attorney General Chambers, and the Office of the Public Prosecutor, so that together now, putting all this team, we are able to deliver a secure cyberspace, not forgetting the key sector of banking and finance. Therefore, we brought in also the Central Bank of Kenya to be able to support the national cybersecurity efforts. Thank you.
So more or less it's a multi-agency formation that you're having.
It's true. It's a multi-agency, and that is the way we have gone as a country. And any issue that we may have within the space, then us who sit now at the committee are able now to leverage on the capabilities that are available within the 9 entities that I've already mentioned. And be it if it's something to do with financial and mobile fraud, we have the Central Bank. If it is something that involves issues of internet, we have the Communications Authority of Kenya. If it is an external threat that is coming upon the country, we have the Kenya Defence Forces. If it is something that concerns internal crimes committed through the internet and the mobile, we have the National Police Service, and it goes like that. Of course, when it comes now to formulating the laws and advising on the law, we have the State Law Office, and if it is prosecution after the police have done their work, now we bring in the Director of Public Prosecution. So it's a committee, a multi-agency approach, and it has functioned well to be able to secure what we are calling the cyberspace for the people of Kenya to be comfortable when they are doing their day-to-day activities within the cyberspace. My colleague, Dr. Njue, can also add something.
Yeah, Doc, I'm looking at what constitutes a cyber threat for our viewers, and why are they always on the rise during the festive season?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Yes, cyber threat is something that we need to look at from a very basic perspective. And let me put the story of where we are as a country. Kenya is one of the leading countries in terms of digitization. And you are aware that the government of Kenya has deliberately taken a very elaborate plan towards digital transformation. And that is seriously embedded in the bottom-up economic transformation agenda in the current administration. And one of the key pillars that supports this is the digital
all right, Doc, I'm informed that we are having challenges with your microphone, so kindly just give us a minute to have a look at that. Maybe you can chip in, Dr. Daktari.
It's very interesting. As my colleague was commenting, the bottom-up economic transformation agenda is one, the key policy driver in terms of the current administration being able to deliver on its mandate to the people of Kenya. And therefore, our president made deliberate efforts to be able to give strategic guidance on onboarding of all the government services within what we call the e-citizen flagship strategic platform. And initially, from a very humble beginning of only 300 services that were available to the people of Kenya through the e-citizen platform. Now we have more than 19,000 services that have been successfully onboarded, and just recently our president led the country in celebrating the first anniversary of the e-citizen platform. And of course, with all these achievements, they come with the challenges, because now we've put these services online, and therefore we have threats that face these systems, and not only the e-citizen, among other systems that the government and also the private sector is having. And these are the issues now that we are here to discuss, and we believe this session that we are going to have here by the end of the day will be able to have engaged Kenyans on some of the precautionary measures they need to take, and what efforts the government is doing to be able to secure both the government systems and also the systems within the private sector.
Now, Dr. Njoga, we are also looking at cyber threats, and especially during the festive season. Maybe you can expound on what you are talking about, and also tell us as a country, because we have seen when we come to developing countries, and especially African countries, we have so many cyber threats. So as a country, Kenya, how many cyber threats do we receive? Maybe in a day or in a week?
Okay, that's a big question. Kenya is also very big in terms of adoption of digital technologies. Actually, Kenya ranks second or third. I'm saying second or third because it keeps fluctuating. Based on our population of about 58 million Kenyans, we are talking about 130 million, SIM cards registered, and mobile devices which are connected to internet. That's quite a big number. And we are talking about 98% internet penetration up to the last mile, and that is broadband internet. And I think the government's current agenda of digital superhighway has really propagated this. So that's really digital footprint has I would say transferred a lot of digital risks to the end users on the devices that we use. Now that also goes together with the digital transformation, the digitization and the digitalization of various services by individuals, by private businesses and government. So we see a lot of dependency on digital technologies to transact our daily activities. So that platform means that there is a lot of interest by bad actors. So we see that the bad actors, and that is basically how we define cybersecurity. It is those activities, those malicious activities targeted at compromising the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of systems. So what are they really looking at? People look at data, personal data, which they can use for their own malicious reasons. People are looking at, undertaking or perpetrating frauds of various levels, So for a country like Kenya, where we used to see a lot of very aggressive economic activities, so we have bad actors who are interested in compromising the weaknesses that we have within our computer systems and our users. Users are also very vulnerable within that ecosystem for their own criminal activities and self-gain. So during this kind of festivity season, we see a lot of hype in terms of people spending money in, in the good times. The good times, there's a lot of shopping ongoing. People are having a lot of get-togethers. People are on holiday and vacation. So there's a lot of financial transaction ongoing. And while that is happening, it means that there are criminals who are interested in defrauding these happy Kenyans enjoying their festive moments.
And we'll also be looking at some of the cyber threats that we should be looking out for, and especially now we have the festive season. But before then, Daktari, I'm looking at, you said very well that NC4 was formed under the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act of 2018. Maybe you can tell us what you've been able to do and how you've been able to protect the country. And do you believe, because every day cyber threats are each and every day. If you look at the internet, cyber threats are everywhere. Not even in Kenya, even in developed countries. What are some of your successes? And do you believe that we also need legislation in as much as this problem of cyber threat is evolving each and every day?
Yeah, thank you again for that good questions. And again, as I've said, Kenya is very advanced in matters of internet and mobile use. But we need what we may call an environment under which we as Kenyans can be able to operate with. And that's why we have, number one, the Constitution, and number two, the various laws that support this Constitution to be able to secure the cyberspace. And I'll comment specifically to the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act, then zero in to what you are calling, you have asked us about the achievements. Number one, we've managed to put in place a governance structure. At least we have the NC4 as a committee that is up and running with the physical officers and these 9 principal members that I've already mentioned under the permanent secretary, that is a principal secretary in charge of internal security and national administration. That is none other than Dr. Raymond Omolo. Under him we have engineer John Tanui, the PS in charge of matters of ICT. Of course, I've already mentioned we have the chief of the defense forces, the inspector general of police, the governor of the central bank, among others. So we have the governance structures that we've managed to put in place. At least now, we as Kenyans, we have somewhere we can be able to run to. We have somebody that is responsible. So I'll take that as achievement number one. We are not operating under a vacuum per se. Number two, I'll mention the various laws and the policies that the committee has been able now to be able to put in place. Just this year, we were able to develop the supporting regulations. Here, I don't know if the Kenyans can see. This is the act, that is the CMC 2018 Act. And we've come with the legal notice number 44, which is very important. All these documents are online. And this legal notice is reading the computer misuse and cyber crimes into brackets, critical information infrastructure and cyber crimes management regulations of 2024. And we're able to engage Kenyans all over the country. We're able to engage the key stakeholders. We are able to engage the 3 committees of parliament, the committee in charge of delegated legislation, the committee in charge of matters of ICT, the committee in charge of internal security, and all this. And eventually we were able to get the approval by parliament on 7th of March 2024. So to us, that's a big achievement. That is number 2. Number 3, we've been able to identify and also gazette what we are calling the critical information infrastructure. What is a critical information infrastructure? Maybe a Kenyan may want to ask that. And according to the Act, for you to be able to identify a critical information infrastructure, there are 3 criteria. Number 1 is its attack or unavailability, a security threat. Number 2, is it affecting our economy? Okay, and number 3, is it a health a threat or a life threat? So we've been able to do that, identify, not only identify, we're able to gazette, and of course develop these regulations to be able to guide them. There are many other documents that we are in the process of developing to be able to guide. Number 4, we've been able to work, especially with the National Police Service, the Director of Criminal Investigations, among other law enforcement officers, to be able now to bring down the rate of cybercrime. You remember at one time, cybercrime was, you'll just receive an SMS, you just receive a phone call, images will just be shared without your consent and all that, and you'll wonder now, where do I go? Now, we have a structure to be able to manage all these cyber crimes. Number 5, we've been able to establish what we are calling partnerships and collaborations, both locally and also internationally. We are working with other countries because cybercrime does not know boundaries. It crisscrosses through countries, regions, states, and continents. So we've been able now to establish collaboration with other countries to ensure that we are working together to deliver a secure cyberspace for the people of Kenya. So I'll just mention that, but my colleague can be able also to add more of the achievements that we've done, and as we continue also with this conversation.
And talking about achievements, also when we come back, you'll be telling us, when you come back to you, you're telling us some of the threats that you've been able to thwart.
Okay.
But Doc, I'm also looking at the festive season, and online business and online purchases have really gone up. The cyber security threats we should be looking out during this festive season.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Indeed, we have gone digital, and a lot of online transactions based on the achievements. And I think the achievements of the development of e-commerce actually was it peaked during COVID 2019. And post that, we've seen a lot of adoption of digital platforms for online purchases, payments, and so on and so forth. What we're seeing is that Kenya is one of the countries globally that is really proud of having the largest chunk of payments done on the mobile platform, that is M-Pesa. We also have Airtel Money and others, as well as other card payment systems and digital wallets. So those platforms, of course, they face the challenge of the criminals who are looking at issues such as one, credentials, theft of personal information, which they can use to masquerade or to impersonate transactions. So we are seeing a lot of breaches of personal information around cards, around mobile or online payment wallets, and so on. We're also seeing a challenge that is based on misinformation and disinformation. Again, that can also be tied with certain scams. Okay, there are a lot of scams on offers, Ponzi schemes. This is being offered by this agency. You've seen a lot of that kind of information already circulating. It is also something that we'd like our fellow Kenyans to be on the lookout for. There's a lot of these fake links and fake publicity about certain online scams and those kind of challenges. The other one is about, there's a lot of also cyberbullying, cyber harassment that is also perpetual, but during this festive season, a lot of that is going to be seen to be rising. That is where you'll see people, the criminals who just want to make others sad, even during happy moments. So that is also something that we are on the lookout for. I talked about fake promotions and gift scams. Kenyans, of course, like other people, also like quick wins. So we are seeing a lot of frauds based on cryptocurrency and financial investment scams, that click here and your little money will grow by 20, 50, 100% within this number of days and so on. So those high profit promises are likely to rise during this season when most citizens will have quite a good appetite for good money to spend. Employment scams will also be rife because, again, we know after festivity, it's back to work in January. So already we've seen a lot of them where people are saying we are employing, reporting is in January, interviews during this period of time, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. We also cannot talk about phishing and smashing, where people are really looking at certain social engineering tricks for over SMS, over voice calls, so that people can reveal certain personal or certain information that they can use to further compromise systems, such as banking information, PINs, residences, and so on and so forth. More importantly, again, because of the closure of schools, family get-togethers, we're also seeing a lot of rise in online child exploitation and pornography. And that is something that's of concern given the increased use of digital platforms and the availability of digital devices up to the households. Ransomware will also increase, and we have seen quite a number of cases in the past 2 weeks, especially in businesses where attackers they compromise systems and they demand ransom. Okay, and that's something that is very difficult to deal with. Phishing will continue because, again, the human being the weakest link will always want to trust. So phishing, people calling you and telling you that shopping this kind of shop is offering this kind of offer just to ABCD, so that you're able to redeem your shopping voucher or your holiday voucher and so on and so forth. And that is done through social engineering and so on. So maybe last but not least, let me talk about dissemination of false information. That is also likely to increase, and that is based on what we've seen as a trend in the last quarter of this year.
And especially in the political scene.
Yes. Yes.
We are
in
seeing
the political
a lot
scene.
of false information.
Yes, again, you know, people use the digital platform as a way of perpetrating the political agenda. But we like to, you know, advocate for responsible use of social media for the right perpetration of correct information.
Allow me to take you back to what you said in the beginning, where information, misinformation, education. Let me come there, because I'm looking at one of the phone companies in the country is actually telling people, don't give out your SMSs, don't your number, your M-Pesa PIN. But I'm looking at the education. They are playing a part in actually educating Kenyans in regards to this. But what is NC4 doing in regards to this matters education to the public?
All right. Actually, a national training guide on cybersecurity is a mandate for NC4. So NC4 has so far managed to engage various stakeholders in development. It's still work in progress, but part of this publication has been adopted. The national training guide, which forms what is a requirement for national sensitization on cybersecurity. That's number one. Then number two, it puts the onus on every critical service provider to educate their stakeholders. Not just education of their stakeholders, but relevant education of stakeholders. Let me give this simple example. If you're customers of a commercial bank, and we know commercial banks embrace everyone, you know, from both literate and illiterate members of the society. So our guides mandate this service provider to provide relevant education to their stakeholders. And that's why we have seen a lot of, you know, this education going to mashinani, including, you know, very informal sectors and using even the local languages, that is vernacular. So NC4, that is really what we do. And again, this is what we are pushing for, because we believe that as a growing digital economy, we need to build capacity amongst our people who will become the weakest link within this ecosystem.
Dr. Kemoyo, allow me to come back to the question I had previously asked on what you've been able to protect Kenyans against, because there's a time that we saw and we heard that some prominent government installation in terms of the e-citizen had been hacked, or some people had tried to interfere with it. How safe are these systems that Kenya is operating on?
Thank you again for that good and wonderful question. I will say this because the cyberspace is so diverse, it's so wide. Its scope is almost what we may call unimaginable and cannot be contained or defined in a given way. It's not like what we may call the physical boundaries, as I alluded earlier, that where you can say this is where it begins and this is where it ends. But I'll go straight to the issue of protection of this critical information infrastructure. As I've already said, I highlighted 5 areas, but I'll still add one more to be 6. Matters of training and capacity building. That is something that we as NC4 have done. We've put together all the technical officers that are in charge of this critical system, both in government and in private sector, to be able to impact them with the relevant training, to be able to have the know-how and the knowledge to be able to take care of these systems. Number 2, in terms of protecting these systems, apart from the people being trained and the people being availed there, we have various tools and technologies that are available both commercially and also in-house, where you can develop your own tools and technologies, or just get a solution that is available in the market, evaluate it, and of course be able to acquire it. And those tools are there. We've been able to ensure that the right tools are in place, the right technologies are in place to be able to protect these critical information systems. Allow me also to add something. Under what we call the Kenya Information Communication Act, which establishes the Communications Authority of Kenya, 1998, with the various other amendments, we've been able to ensure that both the internet space and the telecommunications sector is properly guided. I do not want to use the word regulated, properly guided on what they be able to need to do. We have the Kenya Computer Response Team, what we call the Kenya SAT, seated at the Communications Authority of Kenya. And on a day-to-day basis, on 24 hours, 7 days a week, we have teams that are there monitoring the cyberspace to ensure that all the threats, be internal or external, are being monitored, and the necessary security measures are being taken, both to prevent, to monitor, and also recover should there be any breach that has occurred. Another way we are doing it, Kenya established the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, and under what we call the Data Protection Act of 2019, we have the Madam Immaculate Kasait, who is holding that office for now and doing a great job with her team. The other day, when the numbers of our honorable members of parliament were circulated with their consent, a team was put in place to be able to support and investigate, and to be able to ensure that such occurrences are able to be dealt with. So Kenyans should be rest assured that the government is on top of things, and enough is being done. Behind the scenes, we may not be coming here every day to be able to tell Kenyans what we are doing, but the fact that Kenyans are able to wake up and find the internet is up and running, their gadgets are okay, they're able to access and to buy their bundles, they're able to continue making their calls, they're able to transact mobile transactions, send their M-Pesa, receive their M-Pesa, and do all this. Then this is because there are a lot of efforts that are being undertaken behind the scenes by the government and all the regulators in place to be able to ensure that this space is secure.
You're speaking about MPs' numbers being distributed to the internet. Maybe I think, as you have said, it's work in progress. But what are some of the penalties that such people could be looking at, so that Kenyans can know that indeed this is something that can land me in prison?
That's a hot one. Let Dr. take that, then I'll also chip in.
Okay.
I know.
Because if numbers zinasambazwa, wasalimiwe, then we can have so many even government confidential documents being circulated. We can have a lot in the cyberspace.
Yeah, indeed. And again, like we mentioned that, we advocate for responsible use of the internet. The internet is a public resource. Actually, it is not regulated by anyone. If any case, if you look at it globally, the few actors who try to put certain standards on the internet are non-governmental entities. So from where we sit as NC4, we appeal to our citizens to adopt responsible use of the internet, the social media, and so on. After all, we look at social media, just like the traditional media, which has got three noble objectives: to inform, to educate, and to entertain. So what we are looking at is in terms of like those kind of offenses, kusalemiwa and so on. And indeed, we have seen some of them are really breaches of the law, like what you've just mentioned. As a few people have been charged under Section 27 of the Computer Misuse of Cyber Crimes Act, which is cyber harassment. And if you look at the law, a person who commits such offense is liable to a conviction, to a fine not exceeding 20 million shillings. So it is not...
is that serious?
It's that serious. Because again, we look at it in terms of, those who advocate for, enjoying their freedom of expression and so on and so forth. That is okay. But you know that the same articles 34 to 36 that support those freedoms also protect the others. So as you enjoy your freedom, you should not go against the freedom of other Kenyans. And we've seen breaches of people's privacy and so on and so forth. So that is how serious that law is. So a lot of work has been done. We do a lot of sensitization to people so that citizens are protected against bullying, harassment, stalking, and all those criminal activities that can be perpetrated online.
Let's look at AI, because we are looking at the misuse of AI, and especially we've seen in the US some nude photos of prominent people, musicians, actors, but that's not the real thing. How are we incorporating AI in as much as which is sometimes being used for negative perpetration of crime, and also, as you said, intrusion of privacy and things like this? How are we incorporating AI to fight cyber threats in the country?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, AI is really, I would say, in itself a threat because of it's itself a threat because of how fast it has evolved and the huge capabilities that it brings into the computing field. Let me say this: AI really is a technology that cannot be regulated. What can be regulated is, the proper use of AI technologies. Because you see, AI can do the good things, but AI can also be used for bad things, such as impersonation, the deep fakes, and so on and so forth. So if you look at, and again, this is even outside the basic Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act. If you look at other laws, like the rights and the fundamental rights of citizens, Article 32, 33, 34, 35, even has a right to privacy, for example. So if a citizen uses AI, and that they exploit the technology and they compromise somebody's right to privacy, then they become guilty of that offense. So what, as a country, we are doing now, I think we are in the course of developing the national AI strategy, which should go a long way into providing guidance in terms of how best can we use AI for socio-economic development. And then again, that will also lead into how do we relook at the laws so that those who breach this or who misuse this technology can be brought to books and be punished severely.
Dr. Kemoyo, let's look at, let's go to the shillings and cents. Banks have not been left behind. They are also being attacked. Financial institutions, SACCOs, what are we looking at in the country? What is the situation? Because I've been a court reporter for a number of years, and we know about maybe cybercrime in terms of banks when somebody is being charged in court, because some banks and some financial institutions decide to keep it in-house and sort it out of court. But when it comes to court, you wonder, a bank has been hit with 10 million, 50 million.
Okay, thank you for, again, that question. The NC4 made a deliberate effort. That's why we incorporated the Central Bank of Kenya as what we may call one of the key players or a major actor.
One of the 9.
Yes, one of the 9 within that space. The governor sits there, and in addition to the governor, we have also incorporated the key technical officers from the Central Bank of Kenya into the various technical committees that support the NC4 to discharge its mandate. And therefore, when I was growing up, most of the bank robberies were what we may call violent bank robberies. People will get arms, go to the banks and forcefully enter into those banks and steal money. People dig underground tunnels and find themselves at the middle of the night.
Like what happened in Thika.
Yes, in the middle of the night, and you are just inside the bank all alone. You look at your clock, it is midnight, so you have all the way up to 7, 8 o'clock to be able to do what you want to do. But now, as we've already said here, the internet has brought opportunities. Okay, these opportunities are both good for the majority of us, but I'll still say that for a minority, which I'll say a few of us, there are also opportunities to be able to use the same tool to be able to propagate computer-related fraud within the banks. And I'll commend the Central Bank of Kenya because they are doing a good job to be able to regulate and also support, because the regulator is not just regulating, he's also supporting all the banks and other financial institutions to be able to not only protect themselves, but also protect their their customers. But what we are seeing now, the major problem we are seeing are the individuals. And that's why we are here to educate the Kenyans. Because if I have an ATM, for example, I'm the person with the PIN, and somebody comes with that ATM and puts it in the ATM machine, and the money is withdrawn, the correct PIN is typed, and the money is gone. So how sincerely are you really going to ask the bank to protect you? Because your PIN is what gives the guarantee to the bank, okay, during that transaction of withdrawal, that indeed this PIN, number one, is in the right hands. I mean, this ATM card is in the right hand. Number two, the right PIN has been put, and then the bank has no option other than, because it's a machine, to give you money. What we may blame maybe the banks is where maybe somebody now goes to the bank and is wrongly identified as the bona fide owner of a given account, then wrongly given money that does not belong to him. But that said and done, I think to me, the central bank has done very well to ensure that they are sensitizing not only their members, but also the public. The banks are also doing a lot to be able to secure our hard-earned savings that they are in their custody. And the few cases, I say the few cases that have been reported, mainly due to insider jobs, because if it's an insider job, then sincerely, this puts everybody else, not only the banks, but even in government, in the private sector, the insider threats is becoming a big problem. Because this is me. I have the right credentials in terms of a login, in terms of my ability to log in, the password and everything. I'm logging in and working at the right time, but I'm not doing the right activities that I'm supposed to be undertaking. So the banking sector has done well, despite the challenges, and the few challenges are being handled either using internal mechanism by the banks themselves, or through the good judicial system that we have in this country. Yeah.
Dr. Njue, let me come to you, because I'm looking at free public Wi-Fis. And of course, a lot of people would want to send their TikTok videos and Instagram photos, but as well, people would want to transact in the same. What are some of the dangers of using public Wi-Fi?
Okay. Yeah, I think public Wi-Fi, let me look at it in two contexts that I can demystify, because as part of the digital transformation agenda, the government has also established a lot of public Wi-Fi hotspots, and those ones are secure. So let me talk about the insecurities that are coming from those non-regulated public Wi-Fis. One of the most common attacks is that one of the attacks would emanate because they're not designed and implemented in a secure manner. Therefore, it is possible for malicious actors to do what is called the man-in-the-middle attack. You know, from an end user who is seated somewhere in a border shed, trying to make a transaction online. In between the communication channel, somebody is able to get the sensitive credentials that would be around maybe M-Pesa, PIN, or bank codes, and other kind of sensitive transactions. That is one of the areas. The other is that somebody is able to harvest other personal data that is stored on our devices, our laptops, our mobile phones, and so on and so forth. Then again, somebody can also use those insecure public hotspots to also perpetrate other activities. Somebody can set up, let me call it a false device, that appears to be like a KBC OB station, but it is something else which can be used to perpetrate other criminal activities. So what we advocate is that people should really use secure Wi-Fi networks and avoid the insecure Wi-Fi networks because of those kind of challenges.
But if it's a government, because I've seen in many counties the government has put some public Wi-Fis. Is it secure? Is it 100% secure?
It is secure. I won't say 100% secure. No one can guarantee any IT system 100% security, because we have new threats that are identified every minute. But you are aware that government has made that deliberate decision to improve the digital superhighway. And that is being implemented through a well-planned master plan, and the project is well managed by experts in the ministry, and they have taken the right and necessary cybersecurity controls to make sure that the public Wi-Fi is secure. Remember, it is a responsibility of government to protect the citizens. Therefore, government can only design and deliver secure networks to the citizens.
Doc, let's go to cyberbullying. And I remember the CJ, this was last week, she was talking about being bullied. And what is the government doing to ensure that these cases are sorted out? And as well as, could there be any form of compensation? Where, in the first place, where should I report? I've been bullied. I've been bullied, or some of the photos have been...
All the cases of criminal in nature, and if you feel aggrieved, okay, the government has done its best. Number one, to ensure that we have what I may call either police station or a police post within at least a walking distance of any location. From where we are here, I can mention just a few places, like I know we have, Central Bank? I mean Central Police Station here, Kamukunji is just here. And the police are mandated by law, okay, to be able to receive complaints and issue what we call an OB number. But beyond that, of course, there is the due process of the law, up to and including investigations. And if these investigations find that there was culpability or an offense was committed, then it is now taken to the next level, where the evidence collected is presented in a law court for determination of either guilty or not guilty. And of course, if the determination of guilt is confirmed, then the laws also are very clear in terms of the number of years of imprisonment, or how much you need to be able to pay for that. And the law will also determine if there are any damages that needs to be paid. I want to support. If you look at the Constitution of Kenya, Article 33, it's on expression of as freedom of expression. This is where most of us, we want to hide or to use under these freedoms. And it is very clear what are these freedoms. Number one, you have the freedom to seek to receive information and ideas. Number two, you have the freedom for artistic creativity. So this bullying, I don't know if it falls under the artistic expression or not. Number three, there's a freedom for academic and scientific research. But there are exemptions to this freedom of expression, still under the Constitution, well captured. What are these exemptions? Okay, 4 of them. The exemptions are even more than those that are under which you are allowed to be able to express the freedom of expression. Number one, propaganda. And this is both for war and for violence. And this is what sometimes the government is really trying to educate us Kenyans. Please, the freedom of expression should not lead into, because what is propaganda is opinion shaping. You want to inform or misinform people that, okay, this is what is happening. Number 2, incitement to violence. Number 3, hate speech. Number 4, advocates for hatred. And there's a part 3 to that, which says, as you exercise your right to that freedom of expression, then every person, including the person exercising that right of freedom of expression, should be respect 2 things. Number 1, the right of others, and number 2, the reputation of others. Okay. So if whatever you are propagating in name of expressing your freedom of expression is affecting my reputation, then that is against the Kenyan Constitution. And it's clear in black and white here.
All right. Dr. Njue, I remember the last time we had the training, it was more or less based on these things. And you mentioned emerging new threats, cyber threats. Maybe you can point them out to Kenyans and what as a committee that is tasked with ensuring that, you know, we knock out all these new threats that are coming up? I know AI is one of them, and maybe you can point out others and what Kenya should be looking out for.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. As a country that is, of course, benefiting from the new technologies, it is equally, even more, suffering from the impacts of the same. Yeah, so one of the most obvious threats from the new and emerging technologies, what we call the AI-enhanced cyber threats. We see a lot of crimes being able to be perpetrated faster, in a more sophisticated and in a more effective way, you know, than the traditional attacks. AI can, you know, perpetrate a very effective phishing email or text that can be, you know, let me say 99.99% believed to be the correct information or scenario, you know, that can be very convincing. So then what we need to do is to really use AI tools or AI technologies which have been embedded in technical controls, you know, to prevent against such. So we have a lot of, let me call it security, information and event management tools which are able to look at such kind of attacks. The other challenge is professionalization of cybercrime. Again, I use that word, professionalization of cybercrime, with a lot of pain, because crime cannot be professional. But in this, we are seeing that criminals are adopting, you know, very sophisticated technologies to purport various forms of attacks, and these are actually creating a network of criminals, not only within the regional space, but globally. You remember the case that was being investigated by Interpol just the past 2 months. That is about ransomware via software vulnerabilities. And again, this AI is able to check quickly what are the top 10 downloads, free software downloads in Kenya, for example, or in, say, Kopotopoto village, for example. And using that kind of logic or algorithm, it is able to look at what are the kind of vulnerabilities that they can use to embed on those kind of software, so that those victims can now be forced to pay ransom. We are seeing a lot of challenges based on remote work fraud schemes. Again, we adopted remote work, and there's a lot of impersonation, even on some of the, you know, remote work tools that we use. Business email compromise is also a major challenge, because again, we see a lot of unauthorized transactions. If you look at the Interpol report, that was one of the leading scams that was used by those 1,000 plus criminals who were arrested, and many others. So as NC4, what we are doing is that we are continuously collaborating with a lot of techies, service providers, regulators, law enforcement agencies, to be able to identify these new challenges, look at the, you know, the unique tactics, tools and procedures that they're using, because they're not usual, and seeing how best they can be detected, they can be responded to should they occur.
All right. And as we wrap up, Daktari,
Yes.
I'm looking at the international news, and there was a report of 1,000 suspects that were arrested by Interpol in 19 countries, including Kenya. And we have seen, without mentioning that country, we have seen a number of cases involving foreigners from West Africa that are defrauding Kenyans. Where was your committee, C4, NC4, during this arrest, and
Okay.
what are you doing to ensure that you don't get there again?
Yes. Let me come back and say that we have the National Police Service as part of NC4. Okay, so you cannot say where was NC4, because these arrests were not done by foreigners.
Yeah, because of the 9 agencies that you told me.
Yes. They are not. The arrests are not done by foreigners. We have what we call the Interpol, and Kenya is part of Interpol. So where does the Interpol comes in? Where we have cross-border criminal activities that require collaboration of law enforcement officers across the globe or across the various countries. That is where now Interpol comes in, and Interpol does not bring in foreign police officers into Kenya to do investigations or to do arrest of Kenyans. Because we being a member, it means our own National Police Service will be the ones doing all this and then working together with their colleagues in other countries under the umbrella of the Interpol. Then anybody found culpable then will be arrested. Mm-hmm. But the good news is these people, once they are arrested, they are not subjected to foreign jurisdiction. Mm-hmm. They will still be charged and prosecuted under the Kenyan laws. Mm-hmm. Unless then they are arrested outside the country, then they'll still be subject to the jurisdiction of those countries. Mm-hmm. So to me, I'm not looking at this report on the negative light. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at it as part of the wider efforts that the countries of the world have come together to be able to put human capital and resources, law enforcement officers collaborating with one another, applying various international instruments such as the Malabo Convention of the African Union, the Budapest Convention of the Council of Europe, which members ratify and commit themselves to be able to cooperate when it matters, when it comes to transnational and cross-border crime. So still these people will still have been arrested had they committed this criminal activity within our boundaries. But because now of the transnational nature, the cross-border nature of the cyber crimes, then you see people committing crimes in Kenya, Kenyans committing crimes in other countries, and that's why now we bring in the framework of the Interpol. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. That is Dr. James Kimoyo, who is the director for NC4. Again, that is the National Computer and Cyber Crimes Coordination Committee. Just next to him, we have another doctor, Dr. David Njoga, who is the director, who is the head policy, strategy, and standards at NC4, trying to put into perspective cyber crime threats, and especially during the holiday season. As you've heard, you shouldn't disclose any of your personal information to anyone or any entity that you do not know, including your phone and especially the money transfer pins. That's where we put a cap on this first hour. But when we come back, we have two live discussions. I'll also be engaging the Newton Ogada, who is the director for God Will Provide and also a philanthropist. We're talking about the healthcare. There's a number of challenges, but have you sat down to ask yourself, what about the health challenges for those people who are disadvantaged? That's a discussion that we are going to be having. And also we also in the house, it's festive season. We have Miss Africa Great Britain right here in studio, Deborah Mungai, who will tell us all about her projects, including Mngaro Mtaani. All that and more after we take this quick break.
Kalume, kwa nini ukamuumiza Jasiri?
Waongelea kuhusu nini wewe?
Mimi mazungumzo gani? Niache niende Kalume, lakini hebu niache.
Nina hakika. Anaiti kama ningempata hata mmoja wapo, angenitambua.
Ati nini? Mbona mtoto huyu hana adabu kama babake? Hivyo maanisha kusema huyu Karembo ni mfanyikazi muhimu sana ndani ya nyumba.
Ukiendelea kunipigia kelele humu ndani usinilaumu.
Huyu Karembo anaka urembo fulani kakuwe.
Kwa tunayefanya hapa kisiwani mimi najua.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Have you ever seen a free crispy chicken deep fried yani ndani ya mafuta? Where have you seen free of charge?
Hey, Michelle, I see you only want the best for me, eh?
How's that?
You see, Michelle, I've been chasing you for close to a kilometer now. If I do that every morning, I'll be in a very good shape in a very short period of time.
Bosira, don't take another bite, man. Don't take another bite. You cannot win twice and eat immediately. Here's your fare.
Wana Kenyanju, stop changing rules wakati ninasinda.
What is it, Kamene? Are you okay?
Vyongo kabisa, vyongwa.
Will this one help?
Narudi kwako Allah, narudi kwako Allah, narudi kwako Allah, narudi kwako Allah.
Ambacho ningependa tuzungumzie leo hii katika kuchunga ni kitu ambacho kinaweza kutetea na kujenga mustakabali wa jamii.
Watoto kama wale wakiwa miongoni mwa watoto wema wanakuwa ni neema kwa wazazi kama wale hapa duniani mpaka kesho akhira.
The holiday season is here again.
Surprise! Merry Christmas!
It's family time. It's a season to be jolly, and so grab a seat, relax as your favorite Christmas hosts line up to indulge you this year.
You want some of me?
We got Mr. Claus, the famous Father Christmas. We've got the elves and the reindeers. There's lots of foods and drinks to go around. Great music for the soul.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a Jacqueline.
It's unbeatable, it's joyous, it's Christmas on KBC Channel 1.
Christmas ulikuwa unataka nikupeleke wapi?
Mimi nataka kuenda Mombasa kama wanawake wengine nikajifundishe kuogelea.
Tulisema nimempika pipi yangu.
Mimi sikusema, nimekusomea mashtaka ambayo yameandikwa hapa.
Who told you she have a manufacture in his head?
Alinipiga mheshimiwa, nini ilifanyika na unaona
I broken his nini kombafu sauku.
Ungekuwa sigaga kila siku.
Kila siku ananipiga.
Na unavumilia tu.
Na mbona na smile na mimi basi.
Mimi anashangaa wewe anaita mimi mtoto kidogo.
Utihita kuchukulia hatua kali ile haijaonekana.
Asante mama.
Hello kids.
Hey guys.
Hey everybody. Are you ready for fun?
Huh?
We have an amazing package just for you. Akili. Ubongo.
Ubongo kids. Ubongo kids.
Big minds.
That is our future. I am who I am.
Travelers.
I can travel to wherever I want.
Robocars. And engine.
No more pollution, you know what I mean?
Oh, those little geniuses.
The Children's Corner. Saturday mornings this holiday season only on KBC.
That's right!
Hapa na DJ Andy C, trying to make sure that the music and the vibe is just about, you know, the festival seasons.
Tunatayarisha watu kwa hiyo mood.
Kwa hiyo mood.
Yeah.
The reason for the season is nothing but Jesus. You know, the Bible says, unto us a child is born.
Did you know that your baby boy has walked her angels strong?
All I need to do now is to find out who put Blackie to it.
And what makes you think that he was not working on his own volition?
Blackie is brutal, but not very smart.
Mambo Ruth.
You will get your money by the end of the week.
End of the week ndakuwa nimededi Ruth. Yaje mdosi.
Where are you hiding this criminal?
Bonus William.
He is here! How do you think this is gonna play out?
I'm having such a beautiful morning. Kekara is very, very well composed at the moment.
That is a good thing, right?
You don't get it. Have Ruth call me. Na sahi niko na too much anger.
Welcome back and many thanks for keeping it KBC Channel 1. Well, it's a festive season and a season of giving, and the two persons that I have in studio at the moment, that is exactly what they do, giving back, amidst a myriad of challenges, but we will be looking at that. Allow me now to, with all humility, to welcome Miss Africa, Great Britain 2024. I think we should some drum rolls. Her name is Deborah Mungai. She's also the Miss Proactive and Miss Congeniality. Of course, she will be telling us all about that. And what really caught my eye, she also has a project, Mungaro Mtaani project. We'll be looking at that. She'll be telling us all that she's doing to ensure that she gives back. Just next to her, we have Newton Ogada. Newton Ogada is a philanthropist, and he's also the director of God Will Provide Children's Home. And he's also on the forefront of ensuring that he's giving back to the society. Despite all the numerous challenges, these people have been put here by God to ensure that they alleviate the suffering of the disadvantaged in the community. Maybe to begin with you, Miss Africa Great Britain. Yes. How did you even land that position?
I will start by saying my story was inspired by someone I met on a Christmas party, actually. And I saw her, and I saw she was standing for a charity, but she was also beautiful, also elegant, and she had an amazing gown.
You're based in the UK,
I'm based in the UK.
We're talking about UK or here?
So I'm based in the UK, and I was inspired back in the UK.
Okay.
Actually, I was in Milton Keynes, just to mention Milton Keynes. And I just saw her, and I said, I'm so inspired by what you do, and whatever, I want to know more. I want to know more. And we started talking, and she ended up mentoring me. And someone one day just sent me an application form for Miss Africa Great Britain. And I decided to apply. That was a moment of my life where I was deciding, what do I want to do with my life? I wasn't sure about my purpose. And that fell through. And I ended up going for the auditions and went through as a finalist. I was representing Northampton, which is in London, which is in United Kingdom, but also representing Kenya as well, just to do a cultural for Kenya. And they just announced me as the winner. I put so much hard work into it. I used to wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning, go to the gym and practice my walk, wear heels every single day, and the crown just landed on my head, but I don't think that it landed on my head for no reason, and I'm very grateful, and I'm grateful.
You've made history as the first Kenyan to have the coveted crown.
Yes.
But you're also Miss Proactive and Miss Congeniality. Can you shed light on that?
Yeah, so Miss Proactive means I have been very active with the community. I have gone into events, spoke about what I do, and even just before I got into the crown, I actually have been supported, and I've been given so many awards, like being awarded as a local skills champion for Milton Keynes, and going into 10 Downing Street. I have supported my institute that I used to work with. I speak to the CEOs and I speak to principals, and I let them know about the issues that the youth are facing, and people like who go to the UK and face immigration issues. So Miss Proactive has not just been that, but I have taken an extra step to continue to live on that legacy. And for Miss Congeniality, it's amazing that it was a peer choice. So I got to support the other finalists every time that they had an issue or they didn't know how to walk, or someone did a catwalk and they were not sure how to step. I was the girl who was always making sure I let them know how to do it, and just being supportive and living to my purpose. That's something that me and my mom talked about, that it's not about competition, but it's more about living to your purpose and supporting my fellow finalists. And they ended up choosing me, and I'm very grateful that they did choose me. And it's very joyful to know that they also see me as someone who's supportive as well.
And it's a good thing that your mom is also here to support you. And you also have started Mngaro Mtaani. You'll be telling us all about that, because you've told us that you've been involved in projects that give back to the society.
Yes.
Newton, you're also in giving back.
Yeah.
And looking at what you've been able to do, because we've known each other for a couple of years, to be honest, and I do even remember the time we had COVID in the country. Even people, philanthropists like you, are having it a big challenge to continue giving, but you still continued. How is the situation, and especially when you talk about the healthcare? Because we have seen the SHA, they are really, have not really hit the ground. How is the situation?
Thanks you once again. It's long since I was here.
It's been a
while. And I thank God for making an opportunity again for us to discuss about what's happening in our communities and the effect. I think this country has been going through a lot of challenges when it comes to health and services. You remember a few days ago, I think I watched something that the doctors want to go for strike again because they've not been paid what the government agree to pay them. And few years ago, we had a lot of challenges because of COVID, which actually made many people die and some people lose their family members. Now we had NHIF for such quite number of years. It's from long time, I think 89 or 90 there, until recently when now we had another forest called SHA and SHIF, which actually I still don't understand what was happening there and what is happening there. Remember, I'm running an hospital, so the challenge is really big. 2 months ago, I did a major medical camp in Homa Bay County at large. And if you see the turnout of the people who are coming to the medical, to get medical services, can tell you the challenge that people are going through, more so the less privileged people in the community. SHA, according to me, I think it's not a bad idea, but the implementation was the problem.
Rushed.
It was rushed. When you want to skip from this to the other one, you must have a period of testing if it is working or not working. We had time. I think there was no rush of skipping to something. Then we start seeing the problem while people are sick. We have some things that we cannot play with. We cannot play with somebody's life. By the time they were skipping from NHIF to SHA, remember there are some patients who are going through dialysis. And I don't know how they manage it because they could not manage to pay cash. And most of the hospital were almost closing. We send a number of workers because we cannot afford to pay them when the patients are not there. So it has been a lot going through about health. And I don't know how long we'll actually cover what we have lost, because we have lost money, we have lost patience, and we still don't have integrity. Because when you want to deal with the issue of corruption, if the NHIF was having a lot of corruption, there's a way to deal with the corruption. Like today I saw maybe some people from the KRA has been sacked because corruption cases. We could have done this to the NHIF, and then we get ready, even after 2 years, to go to the SHA, if the SHA can work. Another challenge that people are going through there, which I've noticed, the level of the hospital. You'll find level 1, 2, 3 are allowed to see in and out patient and again to admit. But level 4, 5, 6, they only receive the referrals. My question is, I go to an hospital which somehow close to me, and my case must be taken to a referral case, which is far away, maybe 6 kilometers away, and I am poor. How will I manage this? That is number one. This level 3s has been treating these cases until they feel themselves, now we need to refer. Yeah? Now, what if I'm living next to level 4 hospital and I go there for in and out patient and I cannot be treated here, I must be taken somewhere far again to get in and out treatment. So these things, I still don't understand how it's going to work, but I think we as Kenyans, we need to think on how can we call a meeting to our Minister of Health. And we explain all this because sometimes we talk here at the TV station, we talk at the funerals, but these things are not reaching the people that should be reached. While people are dying, if you encounter how many deaths has happened since the season of NHIF and SHA, it's a big number. If you count the women who just deliver by the roadside, because a delivery case cannot be done in a level 3, it must be done in a level 4, which means this case must be taken to where? Must be taken to a level 4 hospital. If it is the distance, how will you manage it? And again, people still don't even know how much they should pay because they charge you according to how you earn. If you build a house and it's cemented, your rate is high. You know, if you are working like Newton or doing something like Newton, your rate is high. Without even consulting and knowing how many people that Newton is taking care of. So they are giving you burden after burden, burden. So if we go this way with the country, I think we are going to miss out something.
Yeah, very
but
true.
But we
Actually,
should find a way of dealing with it.
Yeah. Issues have been raised, and especially for those patients who need dialysis, those who have terminal illnesses, hypertension, diabetes, and others. But we'll be looking at how you have been able to stay afloat. The doctors are saying that they're going to be proceeding to the industrial strike beginning next week, but we'll be looking at that. But I'm looking at, Deborah, I'm looking at also your work also involves giving back to the community. And one of the things that really caught my eye was Mngaro Mtaani. Kindly take us through.
Yeah, so Mngaro Mtaani, I'll start by the name and the word. The Mngaro Mtaani means kungara. You become clean, right? And Mtaani is back in our homes, right? So Mngaro Mtaani started as charity giving back clothes. And they thought about what they're doing, and they thought about, how about we give provision of skills? How about we clean our minds and give our minds, knowledge to create something for our lives? And Mngaro Mtaani, for me, started with a field trip. My mom took a field trip to World Vision, and I could see kids running around, playing with, the paper bags that you make out, balls out paper bags, right? So I saw kids playing out that, and I saw so much talent, I saw so much creativity, and I knew I wanted to give back to this community. I never knew when, and at that I was 12 years old. And now, connecting back to Mngaro Mtaani, I would love to give back by provision of skills in entrepreneurship, in women empowerment, and also in the boy child, because we don't want to leave anyone behind. And through those provision of skills, we want to bring people through courses, learn skills, and that will, spark a moment of, I want to start this business, or this is a market gap that I want to tap into. And I believe that giving the youth knowledge and giving the youth skills can create something big, because the only thing that they need to do is just work hard and move towards their goal, because I believe we create our own stories and we create our own lives. Just the same way as how I moved when I moved to the UK at 14 years old. I could have easily just said, I've moved here and that's that. But I worked hard, I got myself a crown. I also have been impacting my community and supporting and mentoring them as well, because I believe the youth are our future. And if we decide to invest into them and decide to give them opportunities, they become better people, just the same way as I was given an opportunity and I went there and I got myself a job and I was working in McDonald's just to fund my skincare business. And those kind of things have empowered me and helped me understand what is my purpose. And
where exactly is Mngaro Mtaani, and what exactly have you been able to do so far, especially for the festive season, the season of giving?
It's actually fortunate for me that I was able to come to the UK at this period of the time, and I actually was on a field visit today. I went this morning and we saw a few girls, and
where exactly?
In Kariobangi.
Yes.
In Kariobangi. They were actually literally in the slums. And when I was actually looking for a charity, I wanted to look for a charity that is based in where we want to put impact, because that is where you will see the impact and people will be able to come into these offices and this place. And we went around, we saw where they do hairdressing, where they do dressmaking, where they do learn how to do makeup, IT skills and digital skills. And I'm so happy that it's a building that just grew. But when we went there, my mom was just saying this was nothing. There was nothing here. And 8 years later, we're coming back and we're actually seeing a building. We're seeing students and we're hearing stories about what they're doing and how they're growing as individuals.
Yes. Newton, and we are addressing challenges, and especially in the health sector. I'm looking at the challenges faced by rural people, deep, like more or less the people that you support, and how we can make it easier for them to access specialized treatment. For example, I've just mentioned people, hypertension, diabetes, dialysis. When it comes to the rural area, it becomes a bigger challenge.
You know, that's the question that we should ask those who came in with the idea of giving level 4s the mandate to treat those patients. Because they didn't, I'm sure they'd never go and do mapping, how people live, and the distance between the rural regions to the level 4 hospitals. You know, level 4 hospital is not just a small hospital, it's a well-equipped hospital. And actually, sometimes even the pricing is higher than level 3s and dispensaries. So whoever came with the idea, I think, was just somewhere in Nairobi, sitting and thinking to implement what you don't understand. Me as Newton, who has been in the community for now almost 15 years, these people, we have some death cases which are not supposed to be there. But they're there because of negligent, poverty, and accessibility to the health facility. So as now, it is difficult, and I cannot say that there's something good happening to them, because it is hard for them to get access to the hospital. Because sometimes we have those who maybe have just malaria, but with another condition. Yeah? Maybe Siori is going through some other conditions. And she just need to visit a level 3 hospital. But with her other conditions, she need to be checked deeply. But we can't as level 3, because we have been told you have to go to level 4, because your child is not reading level 3. So this has bring a lot of challenges. So my idea was what I've been thinking, because I'm inside there, I'm supporting the widows. Just imagine, I have over 5,000 widows now that I support. These widows, they don't have anything. Most of the time you go, you support, you know, I've been building houses for them, you know, I've been feeding them. A person that I feed at times when I have something cannot access level 4 hospital, which somehow is maybe 10 kilometers away. And this has brought a lot of challenges. So I am just pleading to the government, because this is beyond Newton. If we can find a way to just bring back the system that we had before, but we are using the SHA or the SHIF. This is going to help a big deal. Or let the government build several level 4 hospitals around people. This when our people, because if you are going through a dialysis, I don't know if you have ever go across a patient who is going through dialysis. It is a process that you go every week.
Yes.
It is not something that you go and come back and you'll be okay for a month. It's a process that you go somehow every week. So suppose the level 4 hospital is 10 kilometers away or maybe 30 kilometers away, and you have to go every week. How will you manage this? It is not possible to manage such costs. It is even more expensive to the less privileged people than it was before with NHIF. Remember, we were only paying 500 shillings at the NHIF. Now, we don't know what we are paying. Some people are paying 0,
300.
some people are paying 300,
0, yes.
Some people are paying 1,000. So how will we define, how will we even know the money that we collect from our people for their insurance if we don't have the standard? Because when we have the standard and we say, let's say we have 300 million, I mean 30 million people who are less privileged, who are paying 500, automatically we know how much we are going to receive in a month. But this one, we cannot tell how much we are receiving. We cannot tell how much we are going to spend in this government. So if it was about to close the corruption way of dealing with whatever we call NHIF, then now it is open for all of us. Because now, just imagine if you are running an hospital, you are not able to see how many patients you have seen in a week. You cannot know how much money the government should pay you. And you are running an hospital. This is something which is going to kill most of private hospitals, while the public hospital has no medicine and has no integrity to manage our patients. So our patients are in pathetic situation. That is the truth of the matter, and nothing we can hide about it, because it's something there. If you go outside there, I had our daughter here was saying that she was in Kariobangi. Tell me, if those people can support themselves with this kind of medical insurance that we are going through now, somehow it's not going to work. I believe that our president was having a good plan on health issue, but the implementation is corrupt. We have to find a way of dealing with this implementation. We have to know how much is a person, if somebody is telling you that this SHA will only cover your 3 or 4 children in a span of 1 year, but you can only visit the hospital maybe 9 times. How many times do you want to, this thing is not making sense at all, my brother.
And away from the health, yes.
The health is the life. We don't need to forget about it.
Very true.
Me as Newton, what I'm trying to do now, I'm trying to find a way of having an option to my people that I support. My option number 1 is, I want to take people through dairy farming so that they can make their way on getting their money, so they can pay for the better insurance, which can actually accommodate their problems when they are in need of health. But if this one is not improved the way it is as we speak, I am telling you, even as those who devoted to volunteer, it's going to be heavy on us.
And still on the same, and away from health, I've seen that you have also done extension services to counties like Turkana, all the way from Nyanza to Turkana, and it's not the only place that you've done extension services. How are you guys coping? Because everyone, including us who are in employment, we are quite stretched, if you ask me.
What I say, you see, my name is Newton Ogada, Director of God Will Provide. God always provide. God always will provide. Like, I was out a few days ago. I came back in like 4 or 5 days ago. When I went there, I went to defend the medical camp that we did in the month of October. And I have signed another contract of well-wishers who want to do another medical camp in March. So what I'm doing, because it's not only my county going through all these medical issues. So I always balance. Like now already I choose Narok County, Bomet County, and Noma Bay County. When it comes to March next year, I'm going to have 2 weeks medical camp. When we are doing this medical camp, we do like comprehensive one. The one that we did in October, we even did eye surgeries when we worked with our county government. We went extra deep. So what I'm doing, I'm sure God is seeing what I'm doing. So I still have some well-wishers who actually support the medical course, and I'm still campaigning to meet more people who are interested on health services, so that we can actually work. And I'm calling upon this. I think it's good for me to be here to say this. Even as Kenyans, we can still sit down and look for our medical experts. Then we organize how many counties do we need to. So Newton will just look for how can we get the medicine. On 23rd this month, I'm going to do medical services somewhere in Bondo, which is in Siaya County. I already have. So I've been managing, I don't know how, but because name is God Will Provide, God has been providing.
All right. Let me come back to Deborah Mungai, who is Miss Africa, Great Britain. That incorporates all the other countries just next to in the UK, right?
Yes.
In one of your reports is that you do love empowering girls.
Yes.
And you also said, in as much as you're empowering girls, but not leaving the boys behind. Yes. Kindly expound on that as Miss Africa.
Yes, so I believe that the youth is not just girls. Sometimes we empower women, but we forget about the boy child. The boy child also needs that support and needs to be mentored. In fact, I also mentor a boy as well, and he is very passionate about entrepreneurship back in the UK. And I believe that we don't want to leave anyone behind. We came with the hashtag don't leave anyone behind. And even when it comes to things like hygiene, we don't talk about hygiene in the boy child. We speak more about, giving out sanitary towels, which is amazing, and we will continue to do that. But we also want to speak about hygiene for the men. We want to speak about how can we improve them when it comes to going to driving schools, when it comes to being a mechanic. How can we support you? Because I believe sometimes it's easy to just support a lady and say, you will get there, compared to the history of how women have been. But I believe that going in the future forward, we can also not leave the boys behind as well.
And Yes, it's a beauty pageant that you won, but there are some roles that come with the crown.
Yes.
What exactly are you doing, both in the UK and also here in Kenya?
Yeah, so...
And Africa as well.
Yes, and I'm hopefully going to expand even more to Nigeria, and we'll go all over the world and just empower the youth. But the crown is not just about beauty. I call it beauty with a purpose. Yeah. So beauty with a purpose means going into charities, not just giving empowering, but also letting people know about the work that they do and representing and being an ambassador of the work that they do. Not just even ambassadoring for charity, but ambassadoring for my country, Africa, or my country, I mean, in Kenya, and Africa, or in general, in the Great Britain. So it's just more than that. During the finale, we have gone more when it comes to what do I call it? When it comes to being proactive and letting people know about Miss Africa and what Miss Africa is about, because it's more about being an ambassador for women and men as well. So it's more than just being beautiful and just standing on camera and that's that. It's more about being an ambassador and being a voice for change. I believe that being a voice for the youth, sometimes we might be discouraged or not think our hopes and dreams are invalid because of our outside circumstances. But I believe that giving me this crown has given me the opportunity to speak for the youth. Every time that I speak about the crown, I always make sure I let people know how I describe the crown in my perspective. And for me, it has thorns and it has different branches. So for me, it's about the people who have supported me to become the person that I am, the people who I'm going to, the diamonds represent the impact of them, thousands of youth that we're going to be impacting as well. And it goes down into my roots, and that is why I made this trip this week, is to get down into my roots and understand my authenticity, understand who I was as a child. And that is something I have actually seen in the Kenyan youth. The Kenyan youth are very authentic, they are very relatable, and that is something I also want to continue to bring on.
We call them Gen Zs here.
Yes. Yes.
Well, we will be talking about Gen Z and their voice, because in June they showed the whole world, and Kenya in particular, that indeed we have a voice and you cannot lock us out. Newton, we are in the festive season, and I believe this is one of the most challenging year, if you ask me, in terms of festivities and in terms of the economy. And people will be looking at you, whether you've said that God will provide, and indeed He does provide. Whether you have or you don't, people will still be looking up to you in terms of health, in terms of food. The widows will still be knocking at your door, and of course the orphans that you support. How are you surviving, of course, during this festive season, and how do you intend to help these people out? Because they really do need your help.
You know, I am a human. I am a man. I only do what I can do. I don't go beyond, because people have a lot of expectation. But there's something that came to my mind and my idea, that this burden, I cannot carry it forever. We must look for an alternative way of doing things. We must look for how can we manage ourselves without getting support from the non-governmental organizations, individuals, and even from the other people that support us. If we don't look it that way, we are going to fail big in the future. Because like now, everybody is celebrating about this festive season, and people want to travel back in the country, people want to eat and what have you, while not knowing we have only 2 weeks to school openings, which is coming with a load of work and a lot of money and a lot of thinking. We don't even think about what will be the result after celebrating all this. So we need to start having a conversation, teaching our people on how they should manage themselves when it comes to festive seasons like now. And again, in the charity way, I will still have something to bite with people, as I've been doing it. You remember that the other year I fed more than 2,500 people. But this is not enough. What is enough? Can we find the sustainable way of dealing with it? Can I tell you something? I'm brought up by a family, and this family, when long time ago they were coming to me and asking me, our son, what are we going to get for this festive season? And I was giving them something. Then I said, how long will I give these people whatever I'm giving now? The best I can do is to empower these people so that they can survive themselves without coming to me to get. Can I surprise you? 2 years ago, they came and bought for me a suit. because I started them something that can bring money. To the community, I told you that I have a concept which I presented 1 week ago in the United States of America. I presented this issue of dairy farming. You know, in Nyanza, we don't do dairy farming. And I'm seeing there's a potential of giving people, showing people how to fish than giving them fish. So this year, it's going to be a burden to me. But from next year, January, which is now 2 weeks, I am going to set a program of giving every widow a cow, grade cow, so that they can produce milk and sell to a company and get back their money, and they can be self-sustained. So they will never come back to me and ask me, oh, Bwana Director, now my children are going to school. Even now, if I read all my messages, they're about school. And some are about Christmas, which is not, I cannot afford myself because even me I have a family. But what I believe in working hard. Just, I told you the other day, I was driving a matatu here, Babadogo number 25. I was not brought with a very serious family where everything was in the table. I struggled, I hustled here in Nairobi. And when I thought of going back to support my community, then God provided for me what people can get. So being I had that idea, I am telling you without fear that if people buy our concept of working hard, you know why we are going bad on maybe health, education, and whatever? Because we still believe on imports. But I want to convince our country people that we need to deal with export. When we are exporting, which means we are getting something back to our pocket. But when we are importing, we are losing every single day. But if we don't go that way of export, then we are going to die. Look what China is doing now. Because they accepted that they can do small, simple job and get a lot of customers and make a lot of money. If we go and settle in one thing that we need to do, Kenya will be great, because Kenya is the richest country we have in Africa. But we are just misusing funds, and we became so lazy, and everybody want to be given. I'm trying for my community, for my country, we don't need to go that way. There are things we can support, like health. For example, we talk about health. Giving back to the community by giving free medical care, that is a plus to us. But I should not give free medical care, then I'm giving food in the evening. That is not going to work with me. So in my administration where I'm working, I already set aside that this year, 2025, we are going to make sure that we are going to give back to the community on trainings and giving agricultural equipment so that people can raise up by themselves, and we start exporting things from wherever we are to even the nearest county. This is going to help us. But what I'm saying, the government is not doing bad. You know, everybody is crying about Ruto. Ruto is a human. He's just a person like Newton. He's just having a symbolic. He's just there as he stand for Kenya. Ruto will not come and give you food in your house. He cannot do that. It is you to stand against the poverty. It is you to stand against the challenges that you have. Then you will never see any problem with Ruto. But we are seeing problem with our leaders because we are lazy. For me, I am crying because I have a burden for people. But if I'm alone, I don't need to cry anything, because I live a better life because I'm getting my food stuff from my farm.
But with all fairness, and especially when you talk about the youth, the opportunities that are not there, it's not that these people are not trying. And that is why I also wanted to rope in Deborah, because you also support a lot of youths. Through Ngaro Mtaani, tell us maybe how you are empowering youth, and especially for their voice, because we saw in June that these are people who cannot be ignored. They form the biggest bulk of our population. But if we look at the opportunities that are there in the country, where that leadership, they are not quite seizing these opportunities. But in June, they showed us that, oh, we are here and we are ready to seize this opportunity.
Yes. I mean, I'll start by mentioning that we will be launching the course and the project in March, April next year. So it will be a great opportunity. I will be here in the country, and it will be a great time for us to launch the project and let people know what we're doing. But also I believe that these kind of issues start with awareness. These are the issues that we're facing in Kariobangi or in these specific areas. And when we start with awareness, people see us, just the same way as we were talking about Gen Z and the protests that we've seen, and even to do with femicide. Actually thinking about femicide, it might have been been happening in the past, but through the awareness of these things, now we know better, and we know what to do, and we know to take care of ourselves right before we go anywhere. So I believe it's awareness comes first. And for me personally, myself, I'm giving my time. I'm giving my the reign and the crown is for Mngaro Mtani. Actually, before I even won the crown, I had already chosen the charity. I said, whether I'm winning or not, this project will be launched and we will do work. And I believe something that I've been discussing the other day was going to actually speak to the youth and asking them, what are the issues you are facing? And I believe that when we have these connections and when we network to the right people, we speak about these issues and we let them know what's happening and what can we do. We continue to push, because I believe there's awareness, but there's also action as well. So letting us know what are they facing, and then for us to take action through that. And the projects that we're doing currently, like the dressmaking and the courses that we're doing, are also giving them actively time for them to put their energy into the right things, because it's very easy for us to stay at home and divert into, let's say, drugs, or divert into the wrong crowd, right? So that is what I think, and that is my perspective.
And how can you network with the youth, and especially now that you're Miss Africa Great Britain? How are you networking with the youth to ensure that matters governance, matters now that we're in the digital space, they can get so many opportunities despite the fact that they're here in the country?
Yes. For me, personally, myself, I believe that going to the source is the best thing. So having a gathering like how I went to Mngaro today is a time for me to speak to the youth. And I'm not very, I'm a queen and I don't want to speak. No, I believe that they're the people that put me in this, in this position, and the crown is for that purpose specifically. So for me, going to speak to them right, direct, letting them know, okay, so how's your day going? What are the issues you're facing? How can I help you? Not just for the youth, but I have gone to a podcast actually yesterday called Mtoto News, and we were speaking about career paths, and some of them are actually struggling with career paths and not knowing what path to take. And for me, I was not a success story, but kind of letting them know what my journey was. And I went through so many different journeys, and they all just came together and we aligned for the crown specifically for me. So I believe going to the source and speaking directly to what are you facing? Because it's easy to say, they're facing this and they're facing that, but going directly to the source is great. And actually last night I went to speak to someone who was selling shoes, and I was asking them, what are your aspirations? Where do you want to go? And they were not sure about it, because I believe maybe they believe that their hopes and dreams are not valid or they don't exist. But I believe even that opportunity for me to speak to them was actually an opportunity for them to, think about it and know, where do I want to go? So, yeah.
And Newton, I think that resonates with this question that what exactly, because you have orphans as well, and they grow up and become people in the society, respected people in the society. How are you ensuring that you also impact their lives in terms of seizing opportunities that are there? Just like you said, you can't just say...
Before I forget to tell you something, I was a youth once. I did not just grow up the way I am. I was a youth. And I went through all what people are thinking. It's difficult. The laziness in the country is something that we need to deal with. We can be productive. We can do something. We can, like our daughter here is saying, she's now Miss Africa.
But with all fairness, Newton, there are no opportunities for the youth. That is why you see the government deciding to look for jobs outside the country.
Let me tell you. I talked about China. They never went out to look for job outside the country. They decided to find on how they can manage themselves in their country. If all of us run away and we go to a different country, how will we build Kenya? We have a lot of opportunity in this country. I'm talking on what I understand. Yes. I'm talking on what I understand.
There are opportunities, but they're not enough, right?
I've been watching this channel all the time. I've been seeing you guys bringing young vijana here talking about how they start doing even, how do we call it, fish farming or something. I've been watching all those things. They never start from heaven. We need, our youths are the laziest people I've ever seen in the world.
All right.
Because we keep on complaining about the government to provide job all the time. But we can provide job for ourselves. For example...
Right. I would like you to look at the camera and try and encourage them. Because that I think that is the first thing that they need.
Let me tell you in the camera that we can stand up and make our country great. Our youth of nowadays, they don't want hard job. They want white-collar job. That's why... Oh,
not all of them. Not all of them. Speak for all of them.
But the majority, just listen to the majority. The president of this Republic of Kenya, the former and the current, worked so hard and built a lot of technical institute in the communities where you can learn even plumbing, you can learn all these electrical works. Our youth, they don't want that. They want to go and learn science or something, which it will be difficult to get job. If you go to this university where we are paying a lot of school fee, you will find your child suggested to pick something like, to do like a health record. Hospital, we need only 2 or 3. And in that class, we have 200. Where do you think they're going to get the job? I am trying to advise our youth that let us take any job that come across. This job that come across, me, Newton, I went to school. And I decided to be a carpenter. Do you think carpenter is just something that a youth will go and do? I did it. I am a carpenter by profession. I decided to be a driver by profession. After that is when I went to college. Now I am who I am. I did not choose that I must go to Nairobi University to be who I am today. I never stepped in Nairobi University, but I'm not badly off. So which means if we put away our thinking of, I want to be who I want, and you don't want to work hard, you're going nowhere. And we are going to kill our country. I'm against the issue of us going to other countries to build. When I was in America recently, Trump said something which I really supported. He said, if you came to America with backdoor, I have to take you back to your country and build your country because you are supposed to build your country, not in America. So the best we can do is to have a forum like this, to talk with our children, to tell our children what they can do. They can be creative. They can do something. Somebody like Eric Omondi, do you think he's a poor person? He is not. He is just a creative person. He just make it happen. We have many people who are here. They just decide to be creative and they make life and they support people. If we don't go back and do agriculture, we don't go back and do plumbing, where do you think, like where we sit, this table was built by who? By a carpenter. This chair was built by who? So if we can produce a lot of this furniture, we can produce all what we can produce, and we look market outside the country, we are going to build our economy without even crying that we need job. President cannot provide job within 5 years. Even if I become the president tomorrow, I cannot promise our Gen Zs that I'm going to provide job for all millions of Gen Zs that we have. The Gen Zs should wake up and rise. I've seen people in the community who are just doing small job. They feed their family so well, they take their children to school, and they make it in life. So what we are lacking, if I ask you a simple question, what do you think our country is exporting, even in Uganda? But when you go to the border, you'll find all pineapples you're eating in Nairobi are coming from Uganda. You will see all banana we're eating is coming from Uganda, which means even 2 shillings that we have is still crossing the border and going to Uganda. We are importing things from China. If I ask you, this glass, if you read it, maybe it's from China. Who told you we cannot make glass in Kenya? Why do we have to import it from China? It is just that we need to implement and make a strong foundation on what our children will get in the future. But who are our children? The ones that are saying they are Gen Z, and they want a job, and the job is not there, they sleep. You will find a 60-year-old person is waking up by 5 in the morning going to the garden. Then a Gen Z who is 25 years old sleeping until 9, and still crying to get a job. Where on earth? So we must make sure that our Gen Z, our youth, stand in like our daughter here, who just stood up and went to UK, I think, and you made it, and now you are coming here to teach our men. We can still do it. I believe we cannot go 100%. And get what we need. But what if we are 60% who are working hard? 60% is better than 40%. So we can make something happen. So my plea to the government of this Republic of Kenya, being led by Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto, is to find a way. You remember when Museveni was in this country recently, I think they were having something. You know, he told us that Uganda are producing their own cotton cloth. The land in Uganda is similar. The land in Kenya. Why don't we grow cotton and make our own clothes instead of importing clothes from Europe?
All right. You know, of course, there are other dynamics involved in that of which we should be looking at. But coming to you, Miss Africa, Great Britain 2024, I'm looking at your story is very inspiring.
Yes.
You had this since you were 14 years old. Now you're 21 and you're a beauty queen. There are some complexities or challenges that you also have faced on even when you're trying to empower youth through either Mng'aro Mtaani or even trying to empower young boys and young girls as well, as you said.
Yes, yes. I mean, some of the issues that, as I spoke about, was more so people feeling like their hopes and dreams don't exist or they're not there. And that is a challenge that I cannot change, or I can't change someone to have hopes and dreams or realize what they do. But I believe that being an example and being an example of my own, not just of my own story, of the story that I want to create of myself, can be an amazing way to showcase what is possible. Because I was 14 years old when I moved to the UK, and it was a big culture change, and it was moving from Kenya, where you have a lovely, amazing community, and going to the UK where you don't know anyone. I don't know anyone there. I only just came with my mother and my sister. But I believe the stories that we bring and the, being a showcase of what you want to empower, even going down to the amazing things that I've been able to do, like supporting the BAME Hub UK back in Kenya. That is a Black African minority group, where we went to the Thames Police and we spoke about things like knife crime, talking about to our community and bringing awareness of those kind of things and sensitive topics like those. I believe that being an example is a great way to showcase what is possible. And the other day I actually went back to where my mom was born in Nyandarua, and the kids were so excited to see me with a crowd and a sash, and they were so inspired. And I believe that going into those places and showing them that this is what you can bring and this is where you can go is the way forward.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are almost running out of time, but Newton will give you a minute for your closing statements.
My closing statement, I would advise our people to work hard, and I will advise our government to implement opportunities that can bring hope to our Kenyans, and again to find a way of dealing with our youths more in school and outside school. And I'm praying for more avenues to open for us, not to go and get something outside, but to make sure that we can build ourselves and build our country. May God bless Kenya. Happy Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you so much, Newton. Deborah, tell us something about your future plans as we wrap up.
Yes, Miss Africa Great Britain was just my first ever crown and ever in pageantry, and I was so excited to represent Kenya. Kenya in the UK, and it was such an amazing opportunity. And even coming back here was such a privilege. I was so welcomed, like I never left, and it was such an amazing opportunity. And I hope to continue to inspire others and continue to showcase my life and showcase what is possible. And for our leaders is to let them know to take youth empowerment seriously, because if I was empowered, imagine there are thousands of youth out there that can become a great person as I am today. Yes.
And what I pray is that, because UK is has a bit more opportunities for the youth.
Yes.
Kindly come with those lessons right here. Our Gen Z is right here.
Yes, that is why.
That.
Yes, that's
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Beauty Queen Deborah Mungai, who is the Miss Africa Great Britain 2024, and also Miss Proactive and Miss Congeniality. Thank you so much indeed for coming and making time, and also speaking to the young men and women who are watching. Yes. Congratulations again. And have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Newton, thank you indeed so much. Newton Ogada, who is a philanthropist and also the director of God Will Provide, that is in all the way in Nyanza. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm giving my baton to my colleague Khalid Abdullahi, who is coming up next with Kurunzi Mashinani and Tamrini. But I'm wishing you also a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And my colleague Abdi Aziz Hashim will be holding the fort tomorrow from 10 to 12. Many thanks from me, Bentro Njue, and also Brian Muraru, who is on the bottom of your screen handling the sign language interpretation. Do have a good one and keep it Channel 1.
Is artificial intelligence taking away our jobs, or does it actually create new and improved opportunities for work?
The workers are in many cases outsourced. They are not in the same companies, in the same buildings, not even in the same countries in many cases as the places where the models, the algorithms are produced. A typical data worker is a person who in many cases doesn't have many other options. So data work is, the best options among.
This job feels like giving an individuality to me. Like I feel as an individual, like I am earning now, I am self-dependent, and I have freedom. A financial freedom is something different if we are experiencing that.
The work in itself is very, very demanding. So the myth that this is low skill, that this is just boring work is not like that. The relevance of these workers for the whole AI industry and supply chain is, you can not even put a number to that. It's priceless.
I love trying out all these AI tools and apps, but without the data workers, they wouldn't work nearly as well. How long will these jobs exist, though? Could AI train itself?
The numbers show that the fancier our AI systems get, the more we need the input of humans, and the more we need the input of humans at scale. So I don't think that these workers will be obsolete at one point.
There are plenty of things that AI can't do, like removing hate speech and violent images from social media feeds. This challenging work is still done by human content moderators. They're exposed to disturbing content daily, but there isn't much psychological support. In Kenya, content moderators have joined forces for better working conditions.
Oh, yeah. You're fucking the last day.